This is Izzy Dakota Jones here with the Art of Doing podcast for 2022. We're going to be talking to Dee Lippingwell. You know, great rock and roll photographer, great music. She's known right across Canada, worldwide. She's done some of the biggest artists in the world. We'll be talking to her. You know, she started off locally and then she went into, meeting all these international rock stars, everybody you can think of, especially the classic rock people from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and right up to now. She's done people like, Mick Jagger, the Rolling Stones, of course, Aerosmith, Jeff Beck, Rod Stewart, you name it, she's done it, Canadian stars, all kinds of people, the Guess Who, Bryan Adams. We can go on and on, Shania Twain, tons of people. She's done tons of interesting people. And, she's been into the BC Country Music Hall of Fame for her photography. She's also won the famous Women's Award of Canada. That's another. She's been awarded. Dee takes great pictures. We're going to talk about when she started. I think she started at age 16 taking photos and stuff. So we'll be talking to Dee and seeing how things go from there. So it's going to be really good to get into it, chatting with Dee Lippingwell and going from there. So I'll be talking to Dee Lippingwell in a few minutes. Hang in there. And this will be an interesting conversation. This is Izzy Dakota Jones with the Art of Doing podcast 2022, folks. And Dee Lippingwell. What a pleasure. Hang in there. This is going to be fun.
Hello.
Hello, Dee. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. Pretty good. We ready to do this?
Sure.
Okay. So, Dee, I've already done the announcement part, so let's get right into it. How long have you done photography for? I know you've done it since you've been like 16 years old or so, right? You started way back then, right?
Well, no, actually, I started when I was 5. but no, I didn't get into the. I was taking pictures of trees and flowers and stuff like that. My kids, etc., etc. I wasn't until I was in my late 20s that I actually started my career as a photographer.
Right on, right on. And
yeah.
So you started...
So, 45 years ago, something like that. I don't know. I'm not really good with math.
Neither am I. I think that's why, we love music, right? We just got into the music side of things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, like in 1972, I had my first taste of showbiz, as you would, so likely call it, when the Rolling Stones, there was a riot.
Yes.
At the Coliseum.
Yeah, I was at that show.
Remember that riot? And
yeah.
And Led Zeppelin was supposed to play like 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
And the city of Vancouver canceled all concerts because of the riot.
Yeah.
So the Led Zeppelin management, they booked a date in Seattle, and they were honoring tickets in Seattle. But,
that's right, yeah.
So I got together with J.B. Shane on the radio, and I said, well, how am I, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, right? how are us people that we don't have any cars, how are we supposed to get to Seattle? And he says to me, well, rent a bus. And so
wow.
I said, well, okay, because there was enough of us, right?
Yeah.
Gang. And I found out it was easy to rent a school bus, and then it was, so to make a long story short, I ended up taking 5 buses down to Seattle to see Led Zeppelin.
Wow.
And that was in 1972. Even got, a write-up in the paper.
That's fantastic. Wow. Yeah.
Well, that was my first taste, right?
Yeah.
I still wasn't, it took me a while. I was a late bloomer, let's just say.
Yeah, but you started. So, did you take pictures at Rolling Stones concert? Were you at that one?
Which Rolling? No, I wasn't taking pictures at that time.
Okay, yeah.
Taking pictures. Oh, I was a fan, and every
right
time
on.
I went to come on, like Pink Floyd,
yeah.
all the concerts that George Harrison.
Yeah, I remember that one. The
really,
Dark Horse tour. Yeah.
And every time I went, I'd say, "Oh my God, why didn't I bring a camera?" And of course, my camera in those days was like an Instamatic.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It had bigger film in it, but it was an Instamatic, and I didn't have a 35 millimeter camera.
Yeah.
But when I managed to secure a camera, it was like an underwater camera, but it was 35 millimeter. When my brother came to town to see Pink Floyd, and
Right.
he wanted pictures, and I went, oh, finally. Finally, right? So we were up in the nosebleed section, and I borrowed a 500 millimeter lens from a friend of mine, but the lens was so long and so heavy, I couldn't even hold it.
Wow.
Right, getting my brother to hold my lens while I'm trying to take pictures. So I took, it was Pink Floyd. I've been to a couple of their concerts, and
Yeah.
made my way down to the front, and just sort of pushed and shoved, and festival seating.
Yeah.
And being a lady, I always said, "Please excuse me," right? And the pictures that I took from that show, which really surprised me, I ended up having a mini show at one of the record stores.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, so, and then I was just encouraged by people, and so I started, okay, I'm going to take this a step further, and I'm going to learn how to do my own darkroom and my own printing, and et cetera, and still, teaching myself, right?
Yeah, teaching as you went along, right? That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
I learned a lot from like Time Life books, photo books,
right?
And just I kept sort of tablets with how I would develop a roll of film, right?
Yeah.
And how I would agitate it and all that, right? How much time I would give it, and it just progressed from there, And then when I discovered that maybe I could, be good, I accosted local newspapers and magazines to give me a job, because I was. It was a hard slough at the beginning.
Yes.
But,
as
with any career, when it's I didn't know it was going to be a career.
But look what you've done. I mean, I got one of the books here that I got from you, and I was looking at, like the Aerosmith one, where you got pictures of Aerosmith, and you're also hanging out with Steve Tyler, right? That must have been fun too, right?
It was great.
I mean,
it was fabulous. It was, well,
Yeah, I mean, and then hanging out with people like I seen the pictures like the early days of Bryan Adams and stuff. I mean, I remember when Brian was playing The Cave. You remember that, right?
Oh God, well, yeah, Brian and I go back, right? I think he was like 16 or whatever.
Yeah.
But when I heard his first little cassette.
Yeah.
It was in somebody's car, right?
Yeah.
I remember sitting in the back seat, and Brian sitting in the front seat. Listen to this. And it was like, oh my God.
Like, wow, yeah.
This kid is, but he knew it, and he is, and always will be very cocky.
Yes, he always was. I remember that.
He's brilliant. He's a brilliant songwriter.
Yeah. There's nothing you can't say, but I remember him being like that with. I remember when he was in Sweeney Todd too, right? For a while there, and and I'm because I know Bud Moore. I'm good friends with Bud, right? And,
right.
And Bud told me some cool stories too, right? And I interviewed Bud, and Bud was telling me some cool stories, and said, he was always very confident. He knew where he was going, right? Right away. There was no doubting that, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
But one thing about it's been good to be able to see all the Canadian acts.
Yeah.
Right. Looking back over my career, and I see all the Canadian acts that I've shot, and that have gone. It's like Rush and Celine, and Jesus, even Anne Murray, right?
Yeah. Well, Anne Murray's when I was growing up, Anne Murray is a great songwriter, picking the right songs, and sang really well. I mean, even if you don't like the music, I mean, she was brilliant at what she did. There's this.
So,
you can't take that away from her.
Fortunate to have been able to, to be sort of doing my craft,
Yeah.
my photography in a time when music was so damn exciting.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I mean, the Stones, the Beatles. You know, it started with me with the Beatles.
Oh, really?
And the
Yeah.
Stones and the Kinks and the Who.
Yes,
and
yes.
the Zeppelin and oh my God, and to be there
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah, I live right by the P&E, so I grew up in the neighborhood. So I used to go to all those shows as like my parents let me go. I was like 7 or 8 or 9 years old. I started right, and I went and seen like for $5. I'm sure how cheap shows were back then. You have a paper route and you go and you see a show, and I would see my first show was Hermits and the Who was opening up for Hermits, right?
Oh God.
And the local act was Blues Magoo, or Mother Tucker's Yellow Duck. Remember all those guys too, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So those shows are great. I saw the Cream, Janis Joplin. By fluke, I'm going to P&E just to go on rides as a kid, Playland, and then my friends are going, oh, we're going to see Janis Joplin. Who is Janis Joplin?
God, that's one artist that I wish that I could have.
Oh, she was amazing then. That was like the second from last show with Big Brother. That was, and then they were doing one more show in San Francisco, and then Big Brother and her were breaking up, and she was amazing, Dee. She was amazing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, and another band that I sort of missed when I was out doing my scouting around town, trying to practicing, going to clubs and practicing, right?
Yeah.
And is one band that I missed was Heart.
Oh.
By the time Dreamboat Annie came out, right?
Yeah.
They were already living in Seattle, but I mean, I used to hang out at Mushroom all the time.
Yes.
And it was like, I think the first time that I went to Mushroom was the last day that they were recording.
Oh wow.
Right, and I met Ann and Nancy very, very briefly, right?
Yeah.
And then they moved to Seattle.
Yeah, they moved back. Yeah.
It was like, and they'd been playing around town forever.
I know. I used to play high school dances. I used to go to the high school dances that they played at, right? And they were amazing. And I actually got to meet Ann and Nancy too. I was playing in L.A. and I was playing at the Hard Rock. And we opened up for them at the Hard Rock. We won this kind of contest through our manager when we were down there, and we got to open up for them. So I got to meet them, right? And then then 3-4 days later, they were back up here in Vancouver playing at the P&E, when the P&E was on. So they were telling me, oh, we're going to go back up to the Hood, and they called it the Hood too. We're going to go back up to the Hood, Joe, and we're going to play at the Hood. I says, oh, I'm still going to be on the road. So, I didn't get to watch, but I got to hang out with them. I mean, you're right. They're nice ladies. They're super nice.
Yeah.
Super nice.
Anne is particularly, Nancy is particularly funny.
Yeah.
She's got a really great sense of humor. But I followed their career. I went on a college jaunt with them down to Oregon.
Okay.
The management phoned me from Seattle, right? And he said, "Dee, what are you doing? We need a photographer. It's like it's just a jaunt. It's like we'll fly you down to Seattle, pick up the band, and then we fly into Portland, and we're doing a college gig, and then we'll fly you back."
Right.
And so, he said it's like a whole day, but he said, but it will be a whole day and a bit, right?
Right.
Well, I said, sure, fine. I got to fly down in a little jet.
Wow. That's so cool.
And then hang out with them, and while they did their all their interviews with the college newspapers, and then they did a show right in a gymnasium. It was just so awesome.
Wow.
But they were totally cool.
They're a great band.
They were totally cool. I couldn't believe, the people interviewing them. And I noticed this before, but especially with Heart, is that people didn't read the bios that were given to them in their press kits.
Oh wow.
Beforehand, because they asked them all the same stupid questions, right? Like
yeah.
It was just and every person who interviewed them.
Yeah.
Ask questions like, oh, well, you two are having a relationship here with two guys in the band, and do you find that, that's, it was really, it was awkward. Every single person doing the interview wanted to know about
They want to know about the dirt.
relationships with the other people in the band, right?
Wow. Wow.
I was just like, oh, man.
Oh, jeez.
Anyhow.
Anyways, to another person that I found, I met him once, but I see you got a picture with, is Long John Baldry, right?
Oh, I worked with Long John Baldry for...
Many years, eh?
Years, yeah.
Wow, he actually made me nervous because for when I first saw him, he came into a club where we were playing. And he came in and everybody says, Long John Baldry's here and he frequents here. And it was at Murphy's Pub and on Seymour there. And he came in, he was sitting with his friends and he watched us play and I was I've never been that nervous all my life. I just thought of all the people he knew. I was going in my head. He knows everybody, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah. And he was never pretentious or whatever, he was Long John Baldry. He was, I remember when, Don't Lay No Boogie Woogie on the King of Rock and Roll.
Yes.
I remember when that album came out, and my girlfriend had it, and I remember sitting on her landing going down to the basement with headphones on. And a beer, listening to that song over and over and over and over again, and just falling in love with the whole album. It was just great.
Yeah.
Never realizing that, 15 years down the road, that I would be a close personal friend.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
I was his voice. I did his voice management. He did a lot of commercials.
Yes.
So he would do commercials, and I would schlep the tapes to the different recording studios that had contracts with, anywhere from Chevy to whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was living in Toronto. He was living in Toronto. He moved out back to Vancouver, right?
Right.
And he got me to move back to Vancouver. Come back, I need you to work with me, right?
So, oh, wow.
Yeah, we were really close.
Wow.
He was such a gentleman.
Yeah, and like I said, he made me nervous. It was super nice when we talked to him. We went over and talked to him. He was super nice. But like you said, at first it was just like the guys in the band said, "Well, never seen you this nervous." I says, "Man, he knows the Beatles, he knows the Rolling Stones, he knows Rod Stewart, all the people that I idolized and looked up to in music in my whole life." I says, he's a big presence in their life, right? I said, I just said, exactly. It's history, man. I says, this is history. And I says, it's hard to, I says, once I get to know him, I'll be okay. But I says, right now, I'm kind of freaked out.
I remember sitting with Long John Baldry and Joe Cocker.
Wow.
In a club somewhere, right? And at one point in the conversation, we were just having a conversation. Joe was so funny, and John, I was listening to them, and I was sitting there and I'm going, God, I'm sitting here with Joe Cocker and Long John Baldry. It's just for a moment, it just blew my mind.
I bet it's you're surreal, right? I mean, like. You're taking pictures of the people. Next thing you know, look where they are, right? It's just wild where you are.
Or John saying, "Dee, darling, you have to come down to the Coliseum. I'm seeing Rod, and I need to have a photo taken."
Wow,
right?
Wow.
I would go down, and there would be Rod and John, and
Yes, because they go back so far, right? Wow, that must have been interesting. I see the pictures with you with Rod too. I hear he's very cool, right? I saw him about 3 years ago with a bunch of my friends. We went to Los Angeles, and because I frequent there quite a bit with my manager, and I went down there and we went and saw Rod at the Hollywood Bowl, right?
Oh wow!
And Jeff Beck was the guest.
Oh my God, no! Oh my God!
And it was the band was phenomenal.
Don't tell me that. Oh man!
Oh, Dee, it was a good show. Beside going to the Hollywood Bowl, the Hollywood Bowl is just iconic, right? So
yeah. And oh my God!
I went there twice. I saw also. I don't know. Did you ever meet Sheryl Crow?
No, I never did.
Yeah, Sheryl Crow was really good too. I went once with a friend of mine that you would know, Brian Holden. Remember Brian Holden from?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, Brian and I went down, and another friend. We went down just to get away to L.A. for a week, 3 or 4 days, and we went down there, and then let's go to the Hollywood Bowl and see a show. Who's playing tonight? Well, Sheryl Crow. How much tickets? Oh, they're cheap. They're like $25. Okay, we're going, right? But yeah, Rod Stewart that show was amazing. It was like Rod's band was so hot. It was just
he's kept the same band for continuity.
Yeah. And then
last time that I saw Rod, he was playing with Santana.
Wow.
Yeah. It was awesome.
Wow.
And I actually bought tickets for that show. And our tickets were sort of at the back, up above, right? I wasn't going to shoot. I was going to go to enjoy the show.
Exactly.
Right? Because I very, very rarely get to just go to enjoy a show.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, my husband and I, we got upgraded to row 6.
Wow.
So we gave our tickets in the sort of the nosebleed section to two tourists from Germany who we accosted on the street and said, "Hey, you want to go see Rod Stewart and Santana?" And they looked at us like we were insane, right? And there I have my phone. That's all I had. But in row 6, I still got great shots of Rod, and he's just such a great performer.
Oh yeah.
And Santana, I mean, come on.
I know Santana's amazing.
And then it was Santana, then Rod and Santana, then Rod. It was just a totally amazing show.
Wow.
They kicked the soccer balls right to us.
Wow.
Right.
Holy moly.
It was great.
How about, and I see in the book, my favorite picture in this one book I got is the one with Jeff Beck at the Agrodome.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the only picture in the book that is not a stage shot.
Yeah, but it's so cool though. I don't know. When I looked at that picture, I go, look at that. He's peeking out through the door, and she's got him peeking out through the door. That is so cool, right?
Well, it was in the Cow Palace, and I was. I think Hans Gamer was the opening act.
Oh, cool.
I was in the pit, but I didn't have any press credentials for that show.
Yeah.
And the fellow who worked for the Georgia Strait, he got me kicked out.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because it was his show, and so, I got a little bit perturbed at that, and I remember we're standing by the side, and a roadie friend of mine who was doing the show, he said, "Dee, what are you doing? How come you're not out there shooting?" And I said, I just got kicked out, but I said, I'll just hang here until Jeff comes on, and I can get my shots from anywhere. I don't need to be in the pit.
Yeah.
So he goes, "Well, that doesn't seem to be fair. You are a professional." And I said, "Yeah, well, and there I am fuming, right?" And so a couple of minutes later, I get a tap on the shoulder, and he said, "Dee," he said, "if you turn around now, you'll get the best shot of the night."
Yeah.
I said, "What?" And he goes, "Turn around." And I turn around, and there's Jeff Beck standing in the doorway of the Cow Palace, right? So it's a huge door.
Yeah.
Right? And he's standing there, and the only light is sort of above his head.
Yeah.
Shining down, right? And he's smiling at me, and he is totally unaware that there's a cop resting with his elbow
I saw
on the
that,
other
yeah.
side of the door.
Yeah.
Neither one of them are aware of each other, yeah, so it was just like, and my spidey senses, I just went click, 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 and, and then he was gone.
Wow.
Right. So I think I took 5 or 6 shots. Right.
Right.
And then afterward I'm going, oh my God, was my camera, was it on the right setting? Oh no, freaking out.
Wow.
Freaking out. But then when I saw the shot, I went, oh yeah, this is right.
Oh, that's iconic.
I managed to send a copy of the picture to his road manager.
Right.
And the road manager got back in touch with me and said, "Could you send a couple more copies? I'd like to give one to Jeff." So I did, Apparently, Jeff has it hanging in his living room.
Wow.
Somewhere in one of his houses somewhere.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, but yeah, that's one of my most famous pictures, right?
I know, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. I mean, I love that picture because it's like it's different. You know, it's he's catching somebody at a different moment. You know, especially a musician, right? You know, they're not up there and they're not performing, right? So it's kind of cool. It's different, right?
Yeah. Well, the whole thing with me, I'm working with so many different, news outlets and whatever back in those days. I never took any pictures like backstage because that was, I wasn't really allowed, although they didn't say anything when I did.
Yeah, yeah.
I got pictures of Gracie Slick backstage there too.
Oh, you got Grace Slick back there too? Wow. Wow.
I was more the performance part of it, and not the party part of it.
Yeah. Did you because I'm a huge Jefferson Airplane fan. Did you meet like Grace and talk to her?
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah,
wow.
Yes, definitely.
Wow. Because like I opened up for them. She wasn't in the band. It was just Paul Cantor, right? And I think her granddaughter, her niece, was singing. Anyways, and I opened up this festival, and we opened up for Jefferson Starship and Blue Oyster Cult, and she was the band was great, and Paul, boy, he was just loaded, right? Like the road manager said, I says, "Can I meet Paul Cantor?" Right? And Paul Cantor, and he goes, "I don't know if you want to meet Paul, Joe. He's when he starts drinking, he's a little ornery, right? And I says, oh, I don't care. I says, I just want to shake his hand. I says, I'm a huge fan, right? And so he says, okay, that's up to you, right? Just wait by the stage when they come off. So he came off, and he was really, 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 really loaded. He had like a 26er of vodka straight. I know nothing in it, just on his amp, right? And I'm serious, he kept playing though. He could play and sing, but he was just like, you could see he was like loaded. And then he came down the big concert stages, and he comes down the festival stage, and I was worried. He was by himself, and I'm the only guy at the bottom, D. And I'm going like, if this guy falls, I'm going to have to catch him, right? Or pick him up at least, right? This is scary. So he makes it down the stairs. He staggers down the stairs, and he looks at me, and he says to me, how can I help you, right? And I says, well, you're Paul Cantor, right? And he goes, yeah. I says, well, he says, oh, yeah, I just saw you guys open up for us. I says, yeah. I says, I liked it. I says, oh, thanks, Paul. And then he goes, I says, well, I'm a huge fan. It's an honor to meet you. He goes, well, I wouldn't go that fucking far, right? So I asked for an autograph. He says, come back to the trailer. He goes into the trailer, D, and he sits there. And I guess somebody ate his rider. Like he had all this food and they ate his rider. Like somebody went in there and ate all his food.
Oh, no.
Oh, he was mad. He came out. He slammed the door open. He looked at the lady that was taking care of him. He cursed her out. And then my buddy, one of my guys in my band, came up to me. He goes, what are you doing here? I says, oh, I'm going to try to get an autograph of Paul Cantor, but I think it's gone now. Now Paul's really pissed off. So yeah, I never got it. But like it was. I got a picture with me and what's his name from Bach Dharma from Blue Oyster Cult. I see you got them. You took pictures of them too, right?
I think so.
Yeah, Blue Oyster Cult, yeah.
Yeah, they were at that was at State Line, Idaho, when the festival, the 3-day festival lasted like a day and a bit, not even that, and the fans burnt down the racetrack.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah,
wow.
That was in 76.
Wow.
That's a long story. That's in the book.
Yes. Holy smoke. And then I saw you did I know you did, but you did the SARS thing too, right? That was interesting, I heard, right?
Yeah, that was great. That was like, okay, hurry up and wait. Hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
But what a production. That was...
it was huge, wasn't it?
That was, a million people. It was...
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the shots look great. I mean, I couldn't believe what I saw on the photos, but I remember watching it on TV too. That must have been really cool to be at that and see all that.
Yeah, and that was the backstage area was just so, like, they had a huge tent for the press.
Mm-hmm.
A huge tent for writers with all these hookups for the internet, so that people could go online. There was reporters from every major publication in the world.
Wow.
In the world, because it was, it was just incredible. Then next to that tent, there was a tent with a tiny little stage with all the local TV.
Right.
Right, and then in the room next to that, there was another room with another little stage with all the international TV.
Holy moly!
It was it was.
Huge.
And then after that, then there was a tent with the food, and we had packed lunches and whatever. And of course, there was only, I can't remember right now how many people that there were allowed at the front of the stage. I should remember, but I don't.
That's okay.
We
Yeah.
were all handpicked by Mick.
Okay.
And all the rest of the photographers had to go off to the side, and there was a lot of them.
Yeah.
There was a lot of them. So I was one of the chosen few, which was
wow.
great.
That's great, Dee. Yeah.
After the first three songs, basically, or whatever we were allowed, we were ushered off, and then we went into the back, and we went into our respective little tents, and then we could watch it. They had big monitors, they had screens, so we sat back there and watched it. Of course, no alcohol allowed.
Ah.
Right? But all the bands, like the Stones, they had a whole thing set up in one of the the hangars, right? So they had, all their motorhomes and whatever was inside. So I didn't actually get into that area.
Right.
But, as all the stars passed by in the backstage area, it was
Yeah.
like, hey, hello, how you doing? Just fine,
Right on. I remember the Guess Who were there. Randy and Burton were there, right? They played.
Yeah.
And that was a good performance. You know what? The performance that blew my mind that day was AC/DC.
Oh, of course, they took the show.
They were they took the show, exactly.
Oh,
They were bloody amazing. I was just like, wow, are these guys on fire?
Yeah, no, they it was like people may have come to see the Stones, but AC/DC were the ones that hey, it was marvelous.
I know. And then did you ever take pictures? I wondered, because I don't see it in the books, but did you ever take pictures probably of Johnny Winters or Edgar Winters?
Yep.
Yeah, I opened up for Edgar. Those two acts, I've seen them. I don't know if you saw those shows, but like whenever they came, either band, they just stole the show.
Yeah.
They weren't always headlining, right, back in those days. And Johnny would just steal the show every time he played, right? I was just blown away by him. And I just thought the pictures you would probably have of him and Edgar, because the albino, that look on stage is just amazing.
Yeah, I can't remember which one. I'm just looking at my printed out database.
Yeah.
It was Johnny Winter that I took at the Commodore.
Oh, yeah.
And then I took Edgar Winter out at the UBC War Memorial Gym.
Yes.
Yeah. So I did Johnny twice.
Yeah.
80 and 89.
Wow.
Yeah.
I last time I saw Johnny was at the Yale, just before he passed away, right? And he was amazing. Even that, and I was so close up, Dee. It was like from me to 5 feet away. It was just, and I just was like, I could see why all those years he was so good, right? And he was like a little kid up there. He was just playing. He was like a little kid, right?
Yeah. And I don't know why he didn't make it into any of my books.
Yeah. The pictures are amazing, though. Like I imagine, you got great pictures of him, because they just, like I thought, iconically, they just look, let alone they're great players. They look really good too, right? And I opened up for Edgar too, and Edgar was really like nice guy, really super nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on his rider, he had to have, believe it or not, he had to have fried chicken, and and fried chicken and mashed potatoes, and he had to have like I think it was Jack Daniels, a shot of Jack Daniels or two, and the place we played, the festival we're playing, did not have it, and he was upset. So they had to send one of their guys out and go to Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Oh, gee.
And they brought a bucket of chicken, mashed potatoes, and everything for him. Then he went up and played after we did. But the show, he was just phenomenal. The people in my band went, "How are we gonna match up to this?" As we're not.
Exactly.
We're just gonna have to like really put 100% out, guys. We're gonna have to jump all over the place, entertain like crazy, because this, and I says, we're not gonna we can't beat these guys up. These guys are like, we're not going to. We're gonna compliment them. I said, if anything, that's what we need to do, right? Yeah, but yeah, great pictures, I bet. Yeah, amazing. And Led Zeppelin, Robert Plant. How about that? Did you ever meet Robert?
Oh yes. Well, when I was working for the Music Express out in Toronto, he came to town. He wasn't doing a show. I don't know what he was doing. He was doing some sort of maybe he was releasing a solo album or whatever. I don't really know. But the press were in the hotel room, and he did an interview. Excuse me. And there's all us still photographers, right, taking photos, and I'm saying to myself, wow, if he only knew, right, that I was the lady who brought all those buses down to
see them,
Seattle, in 1972, and then thinking, I'd never know, right? So anyway, so they fed us, the record company, they fed us, and as we were leaving, I'd gone to the ladies' room, so sort of the entourage left before me, the other photographers, and when I came out of the ladies' room, there was an elevator there, so I stepped in, and I heard somebody say, hold the elevator.
Wow.
And it was Robert Plant.
Wow, you lucky or what, Dee?
Well, it was, and he was just, I get tongue-tied even now thinking about it, because I couldn't think of anything to say to him.
Yeah.
I could have said to him, well, we went down like 5 floors.
Yeah.
I could have said to him, I was the lady who brought the buses to Seattle in 72. I'm sure that he wouldn't have remembered, but I could have said something.
Exactly.
And, but he said, oh, that was a good interview, don't you think? And I said, yes. And, and then he smiled at me, and it was like I was supposed to say something else, and I couldn't, because my tongue was in my mouth. It was like twisted around.
I know,
and I was like, oh my God.
It's Robert.
And I did meet him briefly in 1995 when the Page Plant tour came through. But I didn't have a chance to say anything.
Yeah. Amazing though, eh? Isn't that amazing?
It was strange because like in 1972 at the Seattle, Robert actually on stage said they'd like to thank the lady who brought the buses down from Canada.
Aw. Wow.
And everybody cheered.
Yeah.
Right? We were like, because there was a lot of us.
Yeah.
And he said she wants to come to the side of the stage, after our show. We'll meet her, right? And I was like, oh God, no. But when I got down to the side of the stage, I was met by a manager, a road manager probably.
Yeah.
And he said, no, they had to leave right away. They were worried about, being mobbed. But Jimmy gave you his scarf.
Oh, wow.
Jimmy Page's white silk scarf.
Oh, wow, Dee.
It doesn't say Jimmy Page on it anywhere. It could be from anybody.
Yeah, but that don't matter. Yeah. I know. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I see the picture here one of the other ones I really like is, because I'm a huge Beatle fan, right? So, and Stones fan, but Ringo Starr. This one of Ringo is great.
Really? His little ponytail?
Yes! I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which was that the one at the P&E?
Yes.
That's the one that they did the All-Star one at the P&E with Rick Danko and all that, right? I was at that show. Amazing show, eh? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's very rare that you get a chance to, get the drummers.
Yeah.
Drummers are the hardest to, unless you arrange it, unless you're like on stage.
Okay.
On the side of the stage or whatever.
Right. It is tough, isn't it?
Yeah.
It would be very tough because you're usually going to get the guitar player, the front man, the bass player, keyboard player maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, amazing. I know. It's, and then like I look in here too, like you said, all the Canadian artists too. I mean, like Shania Twain, the great stuff here. Tina Turner, wow, you got Tina Turner pictures. That's amazing. Wow, because she just got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah. Well, that's her second time. The first time was with Ike, but that didn't count, right?
I know that don't count. Ike wasn't exactly the nicest person on the planet, from what we all understand, right?
Yeah.
Oh wow! And then who I saw at the P&E in the last few years is, and you got a picture of Smokey Robinson. He was amazing.
Oh yeah.
Smokey still has got it.
Yeah. There's the greats. The greats stay great.
They do, don't they?
Oh, I mean, really. Look at Tony Bennett.
Oh, I know, unreal, isn't it?
I mean, for crying out loud, it's yeah.
I know that's Tony Bennett is amazing, right? I mean, and then I see a picture here that you got in 2006 of Little Richard too. That's amazing. Like he's one.
Yeah, well, God, I never saw anybody wear so much makeup in my
I know
whole
you
life.
can. I bet. But he's like one of the he's one of the founders of rock and roll, right?
Exactly.
Him and Jerry Lee. I see the picture. Jerry Lee. I can't believe Jerry Lee. Right? Holy smoke, he's gone on forever, right? Almost.
Exactly.
Oh my God. That's amazing that you got these pictures of these people. I just like blown away. And Fleetwood Mac to Stevie Nicks here is amazing too.
Oh yeah, she was. I can't say anything about Stevie. Great performer.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, unreal.
She's like a witch. She's like,
Yes.
She's got not a good witch, not a bad witch.
Yes, I know what you mean. Yeah. And then I've got pictures of one of my favorite local bands, Bill Henderson and Chilliwack, right? I love Chilliwack, right? I'm a huge fan. Bill is such a nice guy. Wow.
Yeah.
And such a talent, right?
Exactly.
Wow. I mean, Bill. I've met Bill a few times, and he's such a nice man, and his voice is incredible. All that, especially in the early days, like singing that stuff, like what album is that? First album with Reno and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah, his voice, the notes that he can hit.
I know.
Like, whoa.
I mean, you must. I mean, you must have took a lot of photos of him, right? Those guys, right? Because
yeah, well, Chilliwack. Well, I remember sitting in a lawyer's office when Bill Henderson and Brian McLeod were signing a contract with the record company, and them going over it with a fine-tooth comb and saying, no, this has got to change, and they would change that, and then they would come to another bar. I sat there for hours waiting for them to finalize their contract.
Wow.
Not only were they talented, but they were smart.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. They both were smart. I heard that about Brian. I never met Brian, but I heard Brian was very smart. Yeah.
Yeah. And Bill does so much charity work too, and
yes.
He's still going strong. I mean, everybody's still...
Yeah, Bill's still going strong. He's great. And here's somebody, I see a pictures here that Greg Allman. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, the Allman Brothers. Wow.
I was so pissed off at Cher when she married Greg, because I thought that Greg and I would,
Hook up. You know what? I was on Commercial Drive one night, and I was at the coffee shop on Commercial Drive, Calabria's, and I was leaving Calabria's, and I was going to my car, and I walked across First Avenue, and a tour bus came driving up, and I didn't have tickets to go and see the Allman Brothers, and at that time I seen them lots of times, but they were at the Queenie, and a tour bus pulls up, and who's standing at the front of the tour bus at the steps is Greg Allman, and I look, and it's Greg, and I wave at him, and he waves back, right? And I just went like, wow, that's cool. Greg Allman's like right on First Avenue, you know.
I saw Greg playing at 86th Street Music Hall.
Wow.
Very close up and personal.
Wow.
It was excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw them other places too, right?
Yes.
But that was, that was just like I was in his face.
Right. Great going. Greg Allman and Dickie Betts. Like, wow.
Yeah.
You can't beat that stuff.
Yeah.
And then the guy that I get a bang out of too here is that I love the picture is Alice Cooper, right? Wow, that picture of Alice is amazing.
Which one is that?
It is on. What is it here? I think it's page 109 or 108. Anyways, it's beautiful. It's unreal. Yeah, it's wow, it's great. And so is the other ones too. The one with the snake. He's got the snake.
Oh yeah.
Wow, it's amazing. I played in at the Whiskey lots of times down in LA, and I played one time. We were a night. He played the night before at the Whiskey. It was about 5-7 years ago, and he played the Whiskey with his band. And so I came in the next night, and then the stage crew, management stage crew that I knew, they said, "Oh," I said, "Ellis was here last night." They said, "Yeah." So I said, I says, "Is that Ellis's mic stand that you used last night?" And he said, "Yeah, you want to use Ellis's mic stand, Ellis's mic?" I says, "Yeah." I says, and get this, Dee, 3 weeks later, we're back in town, and we're playing at the Roxy, and who's in the bar? His band. Because he's playing the Queenie. So then they came up to us, and they said afterwards, "Oh, you guys are playing at the Queenie. You were playing at the the Whiskey a couple weeks ago." I says, "Yes, we were, right after we followed you guys." And he goes, "Oh, wow." He says, and so they had Oriana, the girl playing guitar with him. And so we met Oriana, and we took some pictures with them. And then they said to us, "Is there a bar to jam at in Vancouver?" And I says, "Well, we can't jam at the Roxy here because they're going to have the house band on." I says, "I don't think that's going to work." And so we called up the railway, and we told them we had the Alice Cooper band with us. And they said, "Come on up." So we shut the doors and we jammed with them all night, and just the people in the bar. It was fun. So I kept asking them to get Ellis out of his hotel room. They said, "No, Ellis has gone to bed. He's not coming."
Yeah, I remember being in Much Music, and Terry David Mulligan was doing an interview with Vince.
Right.
And in walks this guy, and I go, "Oh, wow." This is Alice Cooper without any makeup.
That must have been interesting.
So,
yeah.
Totally nice guy, really soft-spoken. He goes, "Well, I'm Vince." He said, Alice goes on stage.
Yeah.
Alice is my stage, my stage personality.
Yeah, he can separate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool that he could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know he had problems with that earlier in his career. He couldn't tell the difference for a while there.
Yeah, right. Well, everybody goes through their, ups and downs, I guess. And, it's hard when you're an entertainer, when climbing that ladder, it's all the things that you get tempted with.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's very easy to be sort of led astray.
Yeah.
I know that myself. I had to watch my reputation because being a female in a sort of a male-dominated
industry, yeah.
Industry, right?
Yeah.
When I first started, it was like, "Oh, she's just a groupie. Oh, she's with the band."
Yeah. They would think that right off the bat until they start seeing your pictures and know how well you're doing.
Yeah, and it was great. And it was like people, when I wanted to quit my day job, there were some people who said, they laughed. They said, "No, you can't do it." I said, "Watch me."
There you go. Well, there you go. I hear you said to me when we were talking the other day, you've got 2 more books on the way. Wow.
I've got 2 more books out. One is already sold out. It's country artists.
Oh, great.
The 17 years that I spent at the Merritt Mountain Music Festival, I put together a huge book called Memories from the Mountain. It was the 17 years.
Wow.
The performers that were playing, but it also had, all the events, all the, people partying in the river, campsites, the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah.
Right? And we only did a limited edition because I don't have a place to store 1,000 books, right?
Exactly.
We sold out of that limited edition, so I said, okay, well, and people were saying, well, we want one, and I couldn't do another edition of that, so what I decided to do was to put together a book of equal thickness and equal weight, I might add, of all the performances.
Wow.
Like performances by Tim McGraw and Johnny Cash and Keith Urban and the Judds and Vince Gill. I put
wow.
And I did it year by year. So if people went, they could ever say, okay, well this is 1997. Okay, I was there that year, right? And I have some pictures of the people in the audience and audience shots, right? But,
wow.
so the second edition is out now. It's available through me. Just Dee Lippingwell. Just Google me.
Okay, good. I might have to get that myself because I like a lot of especially people like Johnny Cash and
Merle.
Merle.
Reba.
Yeah. And even Vince Gill is amazing, right?
Yeah. Vince Gill. Tim McGraw was like gone to die for.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Neil McCoy was black.
Wow. That's amazing.
It was like, Joe, I'm a rock and roll chick, right?
Yeah. But I hear you because I know, but we love music. Period. Right? In the end, Dee, I think we just love music, right?
There's some music that if I don't like it, my pictures they show it.
I bet. Yeah.
I like the blues, and I got pictures of B.B. King, and but I wasn't really a country fan. The cows and the chickens in the barn, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
My girlfriend left me and stole my truck. And,
yeah.
But that was sort of like the old country.
Yeah.
And I did some promo for the promoters from the Merritt Mountain Music Festival. And they were involved in the BC Country Music Association. So they asked me if I wanted to do one of their shows, which is what I did, right?
Yeah.
I did live performances, right?
Yeah.
And so I got involved, and then they started the Merritt Mountain Music Festival in 1993, which went until 2009, and I was the head chief photographer.
Yeah. And you know who says say hello to you is, and he's my bass player in both my bands, is Harvey McCormick.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love Harvey.
So Harvey and Brenda said to say hello to you.
Oh, great. Oh, will you say hello right back?
I will. I'll tell them because Harvey says, you make sure you tell her.
Oh, yeah.
You tell her right away because Dee and I go back a long way,
Yeah, we certainly do.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's really good. He's great to be in a band with. He's a really good bass player, good musician, really smart, right? Yeah, he's a nice guy. Him and Brenda are super cool. Yeah. Yeah. I want to thank you for your time, Dee, and I would love to do this again because I just know we could talk a lot of stuff down the line. I really appreciate the time with you because I do respect you a lot. I just find you one of the brightest stars, in Vancouver. I mean that, Dee. I'm not just saying that. I really mean that. I've always respected you and thought you're one of the highlights in the city for music, right? You always have been, right?
Well, I thank you.
Yeah.
I have. If people go to my website, like I said, Google me.
Yes.
I have T-shirts and I have prints for sale, and all my books are for sale. So if anybody's interested in,
I will. I'll pass that along.
My endeavors.
Yes.
Keep the.
And I'll be and who I'm talking.
Bills at bay,
I hear you. Who I'm talking to next? I'm going to talk to Mark Laflamme next too. So I'll say hello to Mark for you. I know you know Mark and them, right? And I know Mark is with Randy Bachman these days, right? So yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh God, we go back to Crocus.
That's right.
I'm not old.
I know I'm going to be talking to him because Mark and I I've talked to Mark. I remember going on tour with Jerry Doucette when Mark was in the band. And I'll tell you this quick story. I remember playing once with Showbiz Kids, and we were opening up for Jerry and Feldman. Sam Feldman, everybody was saying they listened to our single and our video and watched our video, and they go, well, I don't know, we should have these guys open up for Jerry. These guys might blow Jerry's band right off the water because everybody's brand new in Jerry's band, right? So we're going like, well, who's in the band? So Mark is, there was Steve Knight playing bass, I forget, like there was a whole whack of really hot 4 other players besides Jerry that were really smoking in his band. So we do our first show in Nanaimo at Shuffles, and we do a sound check, and my buddy, our sound man at the time, was one of my best friends. You know him, Mike Filoni. So
Mike, yeah.
Yeah, so Mike said, you guys gotta try not to blow these guys out of the water so I can get you guys to the whole tour. I go, I don't know what you're talking about. So they go up and do sound check, and they sound like 5 guys singing like birds, like in harmony. The harmonies were just out of control, unreal. And the band played like 3 songs, and Jerry walks off. He said, how do you think it's going to go, Joe? I says, you guys are going to blow us out of the water. We're going to blow you out of the water. I says, it's the other way around, Jerry. I said, relax. And he just laughed, And I became good friends with Jerry. Him and I got along really well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great time because that's when he had Mama let him play out and everything, right? And yeah, and that was really interesting times. So I want to thank you, Dee.
Okay, well, thank you for chatting with me.
I love chatting with you, and I'll call you again sometime. We'll do this again. And just even off record, we'll just shoot the breeze.
Okay.
You take care, Dee. Be safe.
Okay, you too.
Bye now.
Bye.
That was Dee Lippingwell. Great conversation, almost an hour. What can I say? She's fantastic. She is an icon, and she knows so much and dealt with so many people. I love Dee Lippingwell. She's great. Check out her website. She's got all kinds of goodies and stuff you can buy. And you know what? She's cool. Dee Lippingwell, an icon for Canadians and worldwide. So, great rock photographer. Izzy Dakota Jones with the Art of Doing Podcast 2022. Peace out.